Hello and welcome to Geek Speak. Once again, we're your hosts. I'm Chris.
I'm Jonathan.
And in our first bit of news today, we've had a release of a trailer for the upcoming Batman Return of the Caped Crusaders, which is an animated movie based on the 1960s Adam West era Batman series. Now, from what they've shown, not only have they gotten as many of the original actors back to voice these characters as they could, but the animated story is keeping in all of the original humour and all of the campy goodness that made this series such a massive hit, both at the time and with modern audiences.
Should be alright. I mean, Adam West, he did a solid job of the 60s.
Yeah.
There'll be a lot more special effects this time, I think.
Well, this one's going to be completely animated.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Adam West isn't as young as he once was, and neither is his co-star, or any of his co-stars, so they wouldn't exactly look the same. Whereas this animated one, what I've seen of this trailer actually looks pretty good.
Do you think they'll adopt the normal sort of older storyline, or a storyline that's been done before?
I think
Will it be completely fresh content?
It's going to be a new storyline. It's not one they've done before, but it will be written in the style of the older series, so that it will fit in with those versions of the characters.
And that sort of continuity.
Yeah, that sort of campy humour. I mean, one scene that I can remember from the trailer had Batman and Robin tied into a sushi tray that was moving into an oven that was a trap being operated by Catwoman.
Oh. I was expecting the joke to do something like that. Or...
With sushi?
Yeah.
No.
He's more of the killer type.
He's more of the clown gags than the fish-related gags.
Yeah.
You'd kind of expect that from Penguin.
Good time.
But
good movie.
This looks pretty good, and I'll see if I can drop a link to that trailer in the description below. So hit that up if you're interested.
Also check out the older Batman if you haven't seen it.
Yeah,
it's not bad.
It's not bad. It's
for its era. I quite enjoyed it.
It's very campy, and if you enjoyed the Batman the Brave and the Bold series, you will definitely enjoy the old Batman as well, because they were very much a similar style of character.
I haven't seen that in years. Okay, my first story. It's centered around a esports event in China. Basically, what's made the news this week is it was a League of Legends tournament that's run overtime. So, and this is like in a massive arena with massives. I'm sure you know about the arenas.
Yeah.
So basically, it went overtime in China, and everyone had to go home before it finished.
Yeah, because China has its curfew, and apparently this overtime led them into and beyond the curfew.
But funnily enough, apparently they were streaming online for those people as well, so they could catch the end of it.
Well, this was the Chinese LoL Championships.
Regional qualifiers.
So,
Chinese regional qualifiers is pretty big.
This would have been streamed not only through whatever service they had for that specifically, but you could probably see individual matches on Twitch or possibly on one of the local sports channels as well. I know that some esports in America have been going on ESPN now.
And the two teams at the time were Team World Elite and Snake Esports that were in the final running, and Team World Elite actually took it out. So
I have heard of Team World Elite before, and I'm not one who spends a lot of time researching into League of Legends, so that must mean that they're pretty high up there in
China's like
competitive
crazy.
rankings.
China's crazy with that as well.
Yeah.
So they love thatso it'd be pretty hard to get into.
Yeah.
So your next story?
Yep, my next story is that after a few announcements of casting choices for the upcoming SpiderMan Homecoming movie, and some controversy around the actress who is set to be playing Mary Jane Watson, Stan Lee has come out saying that he is perfectly fine with the director's and producer's choice, which is the actress Zendaya, who I honestly don't know if I've seen anything that she's in. I haven't quite looked into it yet, but
the controversy is because she's African.
Yeah,
she's dark skin.
Yeah, she's
of orientation,
and
Mary Jane.
African. And
Mary Jane is fairly, well, white.
Yeah.
So there's that continuity, which
for me,
I'm cool with it.
Yeah, for me as a fan of Spider-Man and of the various Mary Jane iterations, I have to say the only thing that would turn me off her being Mary Jane is if I don't make her a redhead, which I know she's got very dark black hair, but honestly, the red hair is the one most iconic thing about Mary Jane.
It shows who she is, really.
I don't really mind them giving her a different ethnicity for modern times, because the time she was created wasn't exactly a time that was very open to different ethnicities playing major roles in media. Yeah. Whereas today, well, we're still not quite there, but we're a lot better than we were back then.
Back then, it was separate schools.
Separate schools,
back in the 50s or 40s. When was it?
Spider-Man, I think, was the late 40s, early 50s, during the Silver Age.
That was still quite a hard time for the African American community.
Yeah. So
they didn't really... That's why there's not a lot of comic book characters that are African American.
A lot of the early ones were ones like Black Panther from Marvel or Black Lightning from DC. They were either some very minor, weak-powered person, some very brutishly strong person like Power Man, or they literally had the word black in their name, which thankfully is not something that happens anymore. Thank God for that.
Thank God for that, yeah.
We can just have a person of a non-white ethnicity who doesn't happen to have their ethnicity or some relation to their skin colour in their character name.
My second story is No Man's Skies made the news again. So several people are returning and getting refunds from Steam, Valve,
Steam and EA providing full refunds,
which are happy to do the full refunds. So if you're not happy with it, the main reason is there's no interactivity in the game.
One of the big things before the game's release was that while this was such a large universe with, I think they've come out and said something like 18 quintillion planets, which is like 18 quintillion, something 100 trillion, something 100 or other billion, and so on and so forth, is that while there's a small chance that you could encounter other players, that when you do, you would be able to fully interact with them. And
that's not
Yeah.
It's not happening. People have gone to...
We don't know if this is something that they're working towards, and I'd assume that they are working towards it, but at current, we have seen numerous reports of players who have gone to the same planet, which has, in most cases, been a custom-named planet, gone to a specific area, which again, they custom-named as you're able to, gone to the same exact building or location or waypoint marker, and they've actually had two systems side by side and been able to look at the two separate games on their TVs to see that they're at exactly the same space, or they've been on a stream or something and they're at exactly the same place, and not seen hide nor hair of the other players there.
And this is a real problem for No Man's Sky, because one of its major selling points was that it's an MMO. That's pretty much it. That's what sets it apart. Otherwise,
one of the biggest things was that you would be able to explore and interact in a constant, persistent world or universe. And as far as we can see, so far the most interaction you can get with other players is naming things so that they can see it.
Yeah, it's not expected from the fans. They expected a lot more, I think. I know I expected a lot more. It's a bit upsetting. I hope they work towards changing that.
I did expect, I hoped that they would have this functionality already, but you've also got to understand, this isn't a big AAA game. This is literally a 10 to 15 person development team. And they have recently even hired a customer support team that is just to communicate with their the player community that is actually bigger than their development team, because they've got that many people playing. And if this wasn't so hyped before release, it would be somewhere along the lines of, say, Journey or Super Meat Boy or The Binding of Isaac, where it's a little indie game with 10 to 15 people who made it and no big expectations from the fans and players. And because this was latched onto and hyped up so much, and it was one of the first titles that for PlayStation that came out and said, oh, we'll be doing support for PlayStation VR in this, that PlayStation latched onto it and went, publicity! And
it's just not gone well. People they're expecting something different. They deserve a refund, I think.
It's kind of like...
I reckon you do.
It's kind of like hooking up 10 high-speed passenger carriages to an undersized steam train engine, and that's basically your hype train. You've got these 10 high-speed carriages full of people on the hype train, and it's led by a little 10-man team. They're never going to live up to the hype that was generated for it, because they simply don't have the people or the budget. And I love the game. I've actually taken to playing it while I'm listening to either the radio or recorded lectures from university, and it's great fun like that. It's just not something you play if you're looking specifically for that person-to-person interaction, because they haven't had time to code that into it yet.
I wonder if they're actually going to make time for that, or they're just going to leave it as it is. What do you think?
Well, they do have plans to improve that, because I think part of the reason they left it out, and Sean Murray, the founder of Hello Games, has actually turned around and said, look, we honestly didn't expect people to be able to find each other as quickly as they had. So I think that the fact that they left it out was just an oversight to get the finished product on shelves, and
then later coded in.
Yeah, they've already announced that they're working on patches, and the way it's looking, this is going to be a game that it's like a lot of indie MMOs that they come out, they you can buy them, you can play them, you get all these little patches every few weeks or every few months, but they never really get out of what most people would consider a beta, because they're never finished, they're ever evolving as you play them.
Fez.
Fez. Well, yeah, Fez had, what, an 8-year gap between its last patch and the next one?
Yeah, that's pretty much one.
Then you look at something like World of Warcraft, which is 12 years on, and they're about to release another expansion pack, and they've kept up with balance and patches, balance issues for character classes, patches for new content, to redistribute content, to fix problems.
Basically, they got a team to do it. Like,
yeah, and
Super Meat Boy was made by 2 people.
Yeah,
that's impressive.
Even Minecraft was coded by 1 person, and it's officially in its release version since Microsoft purchased it, but they're constantly adding features to it. And
version 10 now.
I started playing at version 6 or
No Man's Sky is probably going to be the same. You could pick it up now, pick it up 5 years down the road, and it will be pretty much the same game, just with whatever extra features they've managed to code into it in that time frame.
Yeah.
And I think that really is where MMOs need to be, because unlike your standard AAA game that you have like 6 to 8 hours of playtime normally for something like, say, Gears of War or Halo, before you jump into the multiplayer and you have hundreds of hours of playtime killing each other, you go into No Man's Sky more for the evolving experience, rather than going in and going, oh, I'm going to play this for 10 hours and then I finished it. It's more of a, I'm going to create this character, start this like journey into the galaxy, and then I'm going to go explore for a while. And that's the way it's designed, and I think that's what people aren't understanding about it.
Well said.
Okay, now, it's basically time for our recommendations of the week. And despite my just doing a bit of trash talking on shooter games, I'm actually going to recommend Bethesda's take on Doom, which is the Doom 2016 game that came out a few months ago. Now, I picked this up a few weeks back, and within the space of a week, working around my university studies, and of course the production of this show, I managed to play through the entire storyline, which was not a very easy thing to do, because the combat is very, very frenetic. This isn't your old, like, Doom 3, where you walk into a room and a demon pops up and scares you. This is, you walk into a room and nothing happens. You get to a certain point and it triggers demons to just start pouring in all over the place. And you don't wait and pick up a health pack. You have to shoot the demons and execute glory kills to pick up health and ammo from them, because you get bonuses for stylishly killing them. And it can get very frenetic and very, very fast paced. Like, if you take a second to stop and stand still and turn around and aim at something, you're probably going to get hit with half a dozen attacks and die. Whereas if you stay moving and you shoot in the general direction of something, most of the weapons you can upgrade so that that general direction will either ricochet, explode, or you'll aim close enough that you'll get them with the edge of a shot. And sometimes one of the best things you can do is run straight up to something, keep moving, and just shoot it and go as it falls down.
Sounds very awesome. Exhilarating.
It's very fun, but some of the fights can get very hard, and very tricky when it's a one-target fight.
That sounds good.
It's brilliant. If you can, I recommend you pick it up. It's on all current gen systems, and you can pick it up on Steam.
My recommendation for this week is going to be the Dark Souls series. Originally,
Another game that keeps things hard.
it's going in with the theme of let's be hard. let's challenge ourselves this week. It's a game where if you don't time it quite right, you're dead.
Yeah. Dark Souls is a game that, well, if you're not good at it, but you play it anyway, you're probably a masochist.
Yeah.
Because
I'm going to die now.
It will not forgive any mistakes. It will punish you harshly.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I'll admit I haven't picked it up. It's not my bag. I've seen other people do playthroughs where it's literally you're fighting something 4 times your size that takes half your health off with one hit. And
one mistiming and you get hit.
Yeah, you mistime something, it hits you, you stagger before you can
get back
recover
up
from the stagger, it hits you again, you're dead.
Yeah,
meanwhile, your hits are doing like 5% of its damage.
Yeah. It's a skill. It is. You've got to learn how to fight. Learn how to fight the boss fights. It's very interesting. It keeps things fresh. Like, can get a bit annoying at times and a bit old when you keep dying over and over again. But you gotta stick with it. It's really a good one to pick up if you get the chance.
Yeah, it's definitely a good game. And now, as usual, if there's anything you'd like to say, if you want to comment on anything we've talked about, if you want to suggest a story that we might be able to talk about for next week, or you just want to have a chat about games or anime or comic books even, just drop us a note in the comments below or hit us up on our Facebook, which will be linked in the description. And we'll also throw up links to Dark Souls and to Doom on the Steam store in the description, so if you're interested in that, feel free to jump on there.
Sounds good.
So, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next week.